Well, g'day Dragons fans and welcome to the Mad Dragons podcast, brought to you by Complete Warehouse Solutions, a family-owned and operated business with more than 100 years of combined experience. Jeff and his team are more than pleased to assist in your Sydney warehouse refurbishment or fit-out project. Based on Commerce Drive in Lake Illawarra, get in touch with the team on 02 4257 1930.
Just sit right back and hear the tale of a podcast crew who gather around the night's drink to give their point of view. Hazman is the panel spy, he shows that he has fun, and Johnny our host will jump along, guiding us through the storm, guiding us through the storm. Big T's our Rocky keeps us true, he often gets his say. And just alive, he knows the girls and everything dragons win. And everything dragons win. The Mad Dragon podcast is a journey unforeseen. With Hazman and Donnie too. And makes me tea and cocoa. Just the start. Muzzle and the other crew. Here on the Mad Dragon podcast.
Well, of all the games I've seen, that was definitely one of them. A game of near misses followed by conceding points moments later. If we'd taken our chances, which would have prevented their chances, we could be sitting here tonight talking about a fantastic 48-16 win. Instead, we want to sack the coach, change all the players, fire the referee into the sun, and scream at each other for the next hour and a half about all the things that are wrong with our team. So let the screaming begin.
Looking fire, step you to the 10 padlock strapped on your front door. Well, there ain't nothing but heroes and villains, more villains than heroes. What can you tell? What from the next? Can you go down from zero? There ain't nothing but heroes and villains, more villains than heroes. All lined up from the east to the west, black hat born on an infinite chest.
Well, no Hazman tonight, so probably a shorter segment than normally, but the hero of the week for Hazman, he sent them through to me, and he has said Zach Lomax is his hero. Whether he wants to be on the wing or not, he's certainly not showing any signs that he's unhappy, as he just continues to rip in. They give 100% every single week. He just gets on with the job, and that's why he is Hazman's hero for this week. The villain for the week, though, is Ben Hunt, for constantly talking to the media about which he shouldn't be talking about. Yes, he's the captain, and he may want to be open and transparent with the media, but it's not his place to be guessing about the thoughts and feelings of other players on his team. And it's certainly not his place to be divulging the contents of personal conversations he's having inside the four walls of the organisation. It's not a crime to say no comment, or you'll have to ask Zach about that. When it's not your story to tell, pull your bloody head in and shut your mouth. So that's Hazman's heroes and villains for this week. Let's have a look at the panel. Hazman's not here, as I've said, but let's introduce you to the panel for this week. And a nice, there's not too many on there. Big T and Jesse. I might go to you first of all, Big T. I mean, how's your weekend been? The Dragons aside, mate.
That's been pretty good. I haven't done a lot. We got the roof painted on Friday afternoon. Friday morning. Was it Friday morning? Saturday morning. Saturday morning. And so we've had a smelly house for a couple of days.
Fantastic, mate. All right, we'll get into it, and we'll go in now to the Mad Dragons Vodcast Player of the Year voting. We're getting a couple of comments coming through. Benny O'Brien's already in there, stuck into Ben Hunt. Useless on and off the field, according to Benny O'Brien. But into the Mad Dragons Vodcast Player of the Year voting, and we had a few people that just couldn't bring themselves to watch this disaster. So we've had to weave in some proxy votes. So thanks to Dale Nowland and also Nick Clifton, who subbed in to vote this week for a couple of our voters. That hasn't changed much, though, for the third week in a row. The Mad Dragons man of the match is Zach Lomax with 13 votes. Jesse, you had Lomax as clearly our best. Why was that?
Well, he got 2 tries. He made over nearly close to 200 meters again. As you mentioned with in the Heroes and Villains segment, he's not showing that he's not liking playing on the wing. He's really ripping in, and he's showing all heart. He's really committed to the job, and he's really putting the team first. But I'll just go through some stats of his. So here he goes. He's two tries, 1 hit up, 20 runs, 142 meters, 51 post contact, 3 tackle breaks, 1 line break, 1 offload. He could have easily had a third if he hung onto that ball from that bomb off Ben Hunt. So he could have easily had 3 tries. And yeah, some people are even talking him up as a bolter for the New South Wales side. So if he keeps this form up, I'm sure Michael Maguire will continue to look at him. But yeah, he's been our rock solid player for the first 3 games of the competition.
A bolter for the New South Wales side. Jesse, at this stage, I think he's the first winger picked. He wouldn't be a bolter. He's almost a certainty at this point in time.
Yeah, I mean, keeps this form up. Without a doubt, he'll be looked at for a wing spot for the Blues, and Michael Maguire will have no choice but to pick him, but he has to keep up with this form and to stake a claim for that spot.
Well, Big T, we've got a comment from Joey saying he thinks we need to drop the guys that have openly said they're not happy and want to leave. Hunt and Lomax, start with them and clear some cap space.
All right, that's a fair.
Zach Lomax, for the record, Zach Lomax has never said he's unhappy. It has not come from Zach Lomax's mouth at all, not once. So he hasn't openly said that he's unhappy. A lot of other people have said that if they've heard it, but he hasn't actually said it.
We know who's not happy. So he's not. We've got Rob Saguna who wants him out of the team. He wants him gone. See you later. Goodbye.
Well, clearly Rob's not alone, no?
Oh no, he's not alone. No. But he's got to do more. He's got to be up there in the Dally M points every week if he wants to show Dragons supporters that he wants to be there.
Yeah.
He needs the support around him too. Like the players weren't. He needs the help around him. He can't just expect it to do it on his own. He needs the help and support around him to help him rack up those points. Like, yeah, he needs to stand there every week if we're going to have a chance of doing something this year as well.
But, I think we have found the problem and the reason why the Dragons keep fading in the second half, and it's Darren Reid. Darren Reid is clocked off at halftime both weeks, and yep, it's all on you, Daz. Make sure you tune in for both halves. It's an 80-minute game, mate. Stick around. All right, second in the voting this week with 11 votes, and was actually my man of the match, and that's Luciano Leilua. I was very critical of Leilua's fitness and thought he may need a spell in New South Wales Cup, or maybe even a spell at Valence Tavares Fat Camp. He didn't look to me like a bloke capable of playing NRL footy at a high level, but I thought he was a constant handful for the Cowboys. He ran hard. He troubled them on that edge all night. I thought he was defensively solid as well. I know the Cowboys fans and probably the Cowboys team themselves think that Luciano has big issues with second and third efforts in defence. So they did try and target him a bit in the defensive line and force him to come up with those extra efforts. And I thought he stood up to that all night with 30 tackles and only 1 missed tackle. Surprised me, worked hard and played really well. Will only get better in the next month or so too. So I thought it was a really good performance from Luch and looking forward to seeing what he can do for us in weeks to come. Big T, it was very tight for third in the voting. With he's copped a bit of criticism from some of the fans here, but Ben Hunt and Tyrell Sloan both picking up 7 votes from the panel. But third most votes this week with 8 went to Blake Laurie. You had Blocker as the man of the match, mate. Why did you have him as our best?
He was everywhere again. He was running those dummy runs. He was running And I think he had, 14, 15 runs or something? Yeah, let me have a look.
14 runs.
14 runs, 146 metres. That's pretty good. 54 post-contact, 30 tackles. He missed one tackle and 4 tackle breaks. Come on. For a forward of his size coming back from injury, he had a good game, I thought. But Lomax and Lucha might 2-1. Anyway, so...
Well, Benny O'Brien's in there again. Ben Hunt, who the hell voted for him and why? I had 2 votes for Ben Hunt. He had 2 try assists. He broke the line. He set up a few tries. I thought he actually tried really hard in this game and was far from our worst. I felt that he had a fairly decent game. Now, I didn't think he was too bad at all, but certainly had some errors, some mistakes. I get frustrated with his kicking game for sure, but he's the guy that's in there running the show and doing a lot of things. So I certainly thought he was in amongst the boats and pretty close. Kyle Flanagan wasn't too far away either. Tom Eisenhuth was pretty close to getting votes at different times to me as well. But I thought Benny Hunt was far from our worst. Moving into some moments of the match. We'll move in. So you're on the Mad Dragon podcast, brought to you by Complete Warehouse Solutions. Jesse, just minutes into the match, Jack Bird flicks a pass to Tyrell Sloan for the first try of the match, but it was denied due to a forward pass call from the touchy. We then march the Cowboys up the field. We help them get up the field, and they score in what was at least an 8-point turnaround. What did you think of the opening 5 minutes?
I thought the start was good, but again, that because they didn't get the try, it looks like the heads dropped and they easily marched upfield. That's as the Dragons do. They just anything goes against them, they just heads drop. And the Dragons weren't alert to what the Cowboys were attacking because they've got a very fast team and they can easily roll upfield with the side they've got. And we just didn't show any resilience to start that. And with the sets, they're making a lot of meters going forward and to start the game. And we didn't score, but the Cowboys went upfield and score. And then as you said, that's a 8, possibly 6 to 8 point turnaround there. And we missed out and they made the most of it. It's just taking those opportunities and make sure you execute them right. And we failed to do it, and then they capitalized on that, and that they came up trumps, and we just failed to get the points in that start of the game, which would have been great to start on the front foot against the Cowboys.
Yeah, it certainly would have been. I know you in the group chat, you said that wasn't a forward pass, that was bullshit. If you had a chance to look at it since Jesse?
Well, I actually listened to that part. The first 10 minutes I was listening on the radio, so I didn't actually hear it. I was on the way home from work, so...
You just assumed the touch he was wrong and ripped us off. Yeah, good call. Good call,
yes.
No, I love it.
It's the Dragons. The refs don't give us the great calls all the time, but some you got to take them. Got to take them on the chin.
Yeah. Now, Big T, this is probably a bit of a tough question because I know that what you're going to want to talk about, but I don't want to talk about the turning point of the match because that's the next question. So stay with this part of the match. Despite conceding first points and having something go against us, we responded positively and really dominated the opening 20 minutes of this game with tries to Zach Lomax, Tyrell Sloan, and Kyle Flanagan. We were well on top. And what was it that we did so well in that first 20 minutes?
Well, our starting forwards are rolling forward. We were making 50, 60 metres every set. Our halves were on top. They were in front. And then our backs could move. If you notice, a couple of the tries were long-range breaks, and then we scored a try. So if your forwards are rolling forward and your halves can do their work, we can do anything in our team, I think. But we've got to stay concentrate for 80 minutes.
Yeah, I've got to say, I think we we found the weaknesses in their team, and their biggest weakness that we exposed was Valentine Holmes. He's got the worst defensive reads of a centre I've seen since Ewan Aitken. Like, we just kept running at him. He kept running up on people that were never getting the ball. Never getting the ball. He allowed Ben Hunt to slice through and set up the try for Tyrell Sloan. He kept allowing Jack Bird to get on the outside of him because he jammed up and tried to tackle Tyrell Sloan. Like, kept making the wrong decision. I don't know why we didn't continue to target Valentine Holmes, because he's very average defensively. Tommy Dearden had a few missed tackles that we exposed as well, like the Cole Flanagan try with some laziness from Jason Taumalolo in the middle of the park. There was a number of things that we exposed, weaknesses for the Cowboys, and we seemed to go away from what was working for us.
We were making 50, 60 metres on the in the rucks, so I don't know where that went. I know what you're going to talk about next, so I won't say anything. But so I think it was our forwards rolling forward that gave our backs the chance to open up.
Yeah. All right. Well, we move on now. Jesse leading 18 points to 4. The Dragons miles on top. We got down at the other end again, attacking the try line. Another chance for points. Ben Hunt puts in another perfect little grubber into the in goal. Ray Fatala Mariner chases through, gets to the ball first, had an easy put down, but he muffed it. Cowboys got a 7-tackle set. Late in that set, a high tackle from Marshke. Gives them a repeat set. Then it's Marshke again defensively ran up past the ball that left Raymond Fatala Mariner trying to cover for his mistake on the try line. He couldn't do that. It was both Marshke and Raymond Fatala Mariner compounding errors to allow the Cowboys to score. And that was basically curtains. Was this the biggest turning point you've ever seen in a game of rugby league, the most obvious turning point?
Oh, definitely. I mean, even the commentator said on the broadcast that's the biggest turning point. That's a 12-point turnaround. Dragons go up 24-4 there. That puts the Cowboys in a very tough spot, and really puts us in a great spot in domination mode, really. And that could have been the killer blow to knock the Cowboys out. As Raymond Fatala Mariner couldn't hang on to the ball, and the Cowboys, they just rolled forward right down the other end of the ground and made the most of their opportunities and exposed us badly. And they capitalised and scored, and it was a different ball game, and they brought that score back to 18-10, and the Cowboys were back within the sniff, and when it should have been us up by 20 points. And you just got to take those chances. You can't afford to when you're that close to the goal line and you come up with no points, and then the Cowboys and what the Cowboys were able to do go upfield. There was no resilience there at all. We didn't stop them. We didn't come up to them in defence and try and halt their attacking line, because their go forward was strong. We just couldn't halt them. We just holding back in defence instead of rushing up on them. And I think that's what, as Flana highlighted in the press conference, we're not showing enough resilience, and that was shown in that set there, and it continued pretty much for the rest of the game.
Yeah, as Jesse sort of pointed out, he's already got to the end of the game, Big T, but we've got a bit more to get through. From that point on, about 25 minutes into the game, this was when this happened, about 25 minutes in, it felt like from then on, we didn't get the ball again for the next 55 minutes. The Cowboys scored another 2 tries before halftime to take the lead. Heading into the sheds, though, down 22-18. Having had just at halftime, we had just 40% of the ball. We had 45% of the territory. The Cowboys completing at over 90%. Looking at those stats, and we're only down by 4. Did you actually think the stats had to turn around and were likely to be okay when they did, or did you think that the turnaround in the last 15 minutes gave the Cows too much momentum and were already cooked?
Well, we had a fair size slice of the ball in the first 20 minutes. So I think the possession was a little bit in their favour at half time. Yeah, like you're saying, it was only 4 points, and I was thinking, oh, they can come back here, they can do something. Our second half against the Titans was pretty good, so we'll come back and do something here. And just on that try that they scored at half time, that's the fourth out of the last 5 games that we've conceded a try in the last 5 minutes before half time. That's a disturbing fact. If we keep letting teams score just before half time, we're never going to win a game. It's just,
what do you put that down to, Big T?
I think they get to the 35-minute mark and go, "Oh, it's half time. Let's go for our oranges." I'm not sure what you could put that down to. I don't think they're unfit. I think we're a 75-minute team. But yeah, and those against the Tigers in the trial match, we scored one in the 70. They scored one in the 39th minute, and then last night in the 39th minute. So something needs to be addressed there.
Yeah, no, it certainly does feel that way. We've got a couple of comments that are coming through. Andrew Kay saying, I'm not sure what his previous comment was, but apart from his previous comment, we'll always love this team, bleed for this team, and stand by this team no matter what, win, lose, or draw. And I think that's a lot of Dragons fans will say that. But yeah, I guess we've certainly been challenged. Anyone that's still around and still a fan of the Dragons after the last decade or so, you've got to be pretty resilient, and that's probably why we'd love to see a little bit more resilience from our players, because we've obviously got plenty, because we're still here, still talking about them, still loving the club and putting in. But Jesse, the weight of possession and territory continued in the second half, and once again, it just felt like we couldn't get our hands on the pill. Still, whenever we did get a chance, we looked likely to convert it into points. But perhaps our last chance to get back into the game was Zach Lomax climbing high to take a bomb. Got both hands to it, was coming down with it, but a last bump on his arm forced the ball loose. Again, the Cowboys went up the other end and scored on the next set. The final score reads 46-24 against us, but given the number of near misses and 12-point turnarounds in this game, do you think it's a scoreline that makes us look worse than we actually were?
No, I still think we're way off the pace. I mean, I was listening on the radio today. They said leading 18-4 and letting in the next 7 tries, that is totally unacceptable at NRL level. I mean, it doesn't matter who you are. It's not you can't tolerate it. Yeah, we had our opportunities to miss it, but again, we should have been better in defence, letting in 7 straight tries and not scoring one ourselves until late in the game when it was already over. It's just not good enough. And yeah, the Cowboys were well-deserved winners. They were fast, but very fast and too good for us. I think much better team than what we played against last week in the Dolphins. And yeah, I think there's still a lot to work on. And as Flano said, we've got to be tougher without the ball and be more resilient to stop those sides gaining those meters and piling on the points, because that's what our Achilles heel is at the moment. Our defense, we're leaking way too many points and we're not showing enough resilience without the ball. And that's a major concern for Flano and his staff going forward.
Now, again, another comment from Benny O'Brien, who sounds like he's very, very dark on this loss. He said we can't, and very, very dark on Ben Hunt in particular. And so maybe him and Robert get on well at the moment. But Benny says we can't defend the lead. That's game management, and Hunt again. Jesse, you said in the lead up to this game the exact opposite. The only way the Dragons can win is to lead early, because we can't chase points. So which is it? We can't defend a lead, or we can't chase points, or we're just going to lose no matter what.
Well, yesterday, as I said, the start was strong, but yeah, we just couldn't halt them. And the thing is, in this game, in today's game, 18-4 is a nothing lead. Teams can score tries in 2 and 3 minutes. So there was plenty of time on the clock. The boys looked like they were just shut up shop and tried to defend the lead. In this competition now, you can't defend the lead. You've got to go on with the job and put your foot on the throat. You you can't just rely on backing your defense for the rest of the game. You've got to still play the game and try to score more points, because if the opposition gets another try on you, they're back in the game. You've got to put the foot on the throat and keep throwing caution to the wind. You can't put the cue in the rack and just try to defend your way to victory. That's not how today's game works. You got to keep going.
Right, we'll continue into. That's Jesse, not me. So we will continue into some more moments of the match, but I've done the same as I did last Sunday. I went to my local bottle shop and went looking for something a little bit strange, and I managed to find another dragon-inspired beer. Here we go. We've got Pat's the Magic Dragon, passion fruit and dragon fruit sour from Batch Brewing Company. So let's see how this one goes. We'll just crack into it. I'm sure this one's going to be as delicious as the one last week.
It looks delicious.
Well, we have got a sour.
Sweet and sour. That one's a lot better than the one last week.
Well, a lot of Dragons fans have a pretty sour taste in their mouth, so it's a good thing.
That's it. Go the sour beer to join the sour taste that's in your mouth from that performance. It all fits. But continuing with some moments of the match or some things that come out of the match, I guess we'll go to you, Big T. Jesse Marsky on debut, playing dummy half, played for most of the game. Now, how do you think he went, and will he be in the 17 next week?
Yeah, well, he done his job. He made a few tackles there. I can't remember how many he made, but he made a few in the middle there. Problem is our halfbacks made 0 runs this week. They didn't even run from dummy half once. So if he comes back, if he plays again, he's got to run more from dummy half. He's got to take more out of Little's playbook. So I'd happy to see him back in the 14, put Connor back in Reggie. So I think he deserves another run. Yeah.
Yeah, no, he made 42 tackles, mate. So it was quite a few.
He missed one or something.
Two missed tackles was all he missed. So that's not bad for a bloke that's not used to that sort of defensive workload in the middle of the field. I think he went all right, and I think he offered a lot more than Connor in attack. I know he didn't have any runs, but he seemed to step out and actually engage the markers a bit more. Our attack just seems to completely die altogether when Connor Heisman comes on the field. I think he's played about 160 minutes all up so far this season through trials and regular season games so far this year, and I reckon we scored about 6 points in the entire time he's been on the park. So we seem to really struggle when he's out there in attack.
Yeah. I think Marsky is an attacking player, so he's got to learn his trade. If he's playing 5'8", he knows how to play 5'8", because he played 5'8" in the lower grades, but he's playing halfback. He's playing dummy half, so it's a different role. He's got to learn that now.
But yeah, solid debut from him.
Yeah, it was. I would have liked to see him run more.
That'll come though with confidence. I mean, he hasn't played a lot of 9. He certainly hasn't played in at least 12 months. It might be going back 3-4 years ago since he's played any dummy half at all. So it's probably and goes out there and he's got Ben Hunt and Kyle Flanagan. He's playing on his NRL debut. Everyone's saying they want the ball. No one's saying go for a run, mate. He's got to work that out for himself, and that'll come with confidence and experience. But do you want him getting that confidence and experience in the NRL or New South Wales Cup though?
Oh, you have to have it in the NRL. So
completely different ball game in New South Wales.
Flanag's already written this year off. I haven't, but I'm a faithful.
Well, if Flano's written the year off, why is he persisting with 30-year-old?
That's what I don't understand either. I don't understand it. Like,
we've got nothing to lose.
The Catchment boys need experience.
Dylan Egan.
All of them. Let's give them all a go.
Well, Benny O'Brien saying he wouldn't be playing hooker in Reggie's. Well, he did play hooker. He played hooker last week in the second half. So they obviously were looking to get him time. And the Reggie's coach actually has no say on where his players play. None. The first grade coach tells him that he's playing hooker, he'll play hooker. The Reggie's coach does not get a say in that. So if Shane Flanagan wants him to play hooker in reserve grade to get experience playing dummy halves, with a view to him playing first grade, he will play dummy half 80 minutes a week in reserve grade, if that's what the first grade coach wants.
So not on Bronx Goodwin.
Sorry?
Bronx Goodwin doesn't have a say in that.
Well, again, the first grade coach tells you what's happening in the New South Wales Cup. That's what's happening.
That's what happens everywhere, Jess. Happens at Penrith, happens at Roosters, happens at Brisbane, happens at... They come in and tell the reserve grade coach, this is how our first grade team's playing. This is how I want you to play.
Yeah.
And then he'll put his little twists on it, but it's exactly the same as the first grade. They're exactly the same as the first grade team. Exactly the same how they play.
Yeah.
And that's how you get players where you can just take them out of reserve grade and slip them into first grade, and they play exactly the same game as the bloke they replaced.
Yeah. Doesn't always
production
work.
line.
Doesn't always work
production
that
line.
way, though. Doesn't always work.
It has worked at Penrith. Look at the kids they brought up.
Ben Wolf's actually the cup coach this year, not Bronx. Bronx was the cup coach last year.
Bronx around. Bronx are still around the traps.
Anyway, it's all Flanagan.
Yeah. All right, where are we? All right, Jesse, Benny O'Brien will love this one. In the first 3 weeks, the Dragons have forced 5 goal line dropouts. So almost 2 a game, not too bad. Ben Hunt does pretty much all of our kicking, but how many dropouts do you think he's forced?
Probably none.
It's pretty close. He has forced one against the Titans, none in the last 2 weeks. Tyrell Sloan has forced 2 goal line dropouts. Kyle Flanagan has forced 2 goal line dropouts. I mean, do you think that maybe that again there's further and further evidence that maybe somebody else other than Ben Hunt should be taking some of that kicking responsibility, maybe particularly inside the red zone?
I think so too. We've said it time and time again on the show that Ben Hunt, while yes he's a good number 7, he needs to share the responsibility. Whether Kyle Flanagan needs to put himself in position to call for the ball, or Ben Hunt just overrules him and says, "Oh no, I'm kicking the ball." Yeah, he just needs to look at it and trust Kyle that he can get the job done as well. Like, he put in that lovely kick last night to get a repeat. I think he got a repeat set sometime in the game early, and yeah, he showed he can pull off some good kicks. I think he should be looking at it because teams are they know the video. They just look. You shut down Ben Hunt, we have nothing else, and yeah, I never really see Ben Hunt put any other kick up than a bomb. All he does is a bomb. I've never really seen him put it kicking behind the in goal, and that's what he needs to do. Whether we need to bring in more kickers to help him, give him more of a kicking variety, but yeah, Flanagan needs to call for the ball more and say I'll have a turn at kicking and give Hunt a spell, because that's how your halves work together. Ben Hunt is hogging the show. He needs to trust his half more. He needs to trust his 5/8 more and let him do a bit of kicking as well. Whether Flano has to go calling for the ball, I don't know what the go is there, but I'd say I think Flano has to call Ben Hunt and say, "Hey, I'm here. I'm part of this team. Let me kick the ball as well. I don't want you doing everything."
Yeah, I think that's probably one of my biggest criticisms of Ben Hunt. I think he's a fantastic player. I think in general play he's pretty good. I don't think he's a great organiser or game manager, but in terms of a running half, a real threat when he's on song, I think he's a wonderful player. He's one of the best players in the competition. But I really don't like his kicking game. I don't think there's any imagination in it whatsoever. I agree with you, Jess. He seems to go get the ball. He doesn't actually think or look in terms of what he's actually trying to do with the kick. He just puts it up in the air and it's straight down the throat of one of the back three. It never kicking to a corner to find grass. Fair enough. If he wants to put it up in the air and make it a contest every single time, that's fine. But he's not getting enough air on the kicks to allow the chasers to get there to make it a contest 90% of the time anyway. So kick to the corners, find the grass, make the opposition work it out. Actually look up and see what's in front of you instead of just mechanically going through the motions.
It looks like he's just kicking. He's just hoping for the best instead of looking where he's kicking, and he should just kick where there's no players. Make them run for the ball.
Maybe he's just hoping every fullback's like Tyrell Sloan and will just drop it. Okay.
Well, I've noticed in the first few weeks of the competition, Jamal Thurgy from the Canberra Raiders, the Raiders have won their games. His kicking game has been pinpoint to why they've been winning games. They get their sets rolling forward, and Jamal Thurgy just kicks them to death. That's another, and Aiden Caesar did it for the Tigers last night. To just kick them to death. Just kick finish your set, kick the ball where the fullback on wingers aren't there. That's maybe what Hunt should look at doing. He's got a good long kicking game, so if he can do that and kick the ball where the fullback or wingers aren't there, and make them run for the ball, that they might get different results instead of just going for the bombs all the time. Kick the space.
Brian Barron pointing out that we haven't been in the best field position. So in Hunt's defence, we've been mostly kicking on our side of halfway. I watched the game today between Manly and Parramatta where they were kicking from their 20 and 30. They found the grass, they kicked it right down into a corner and forced the opposition to work it out of their own end time and time again. There's other teams that are doing this in these same positions and are actually able to turn the momentum of the game with their kicking game. Ben Hunt is not doing that.
If you notice, their kicks are flat and they're long. They're flat and long.
And kick the space.
Ben Hunt's kick goes straight up and comes straight down. It doesn't travel through the air. It doesn't have that chance to get to the grass because it's up for so long. So
even if he just kicks it out, just kick it out so they don't get the ball.
Oh, exactly right.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's enough Ben Hunt bashing. Let's go and bash some other people. Big T. A crowd of 9,252 is pretty pathetic, given that something like 6 out of the 8 games this weekend were sold out. If the Dragons can't get a crowd on a nice Saturday night in Cogra, what are the crowds going to look like in the middle of a chilly winter when we've won about 2 games all season?
Exactly right. The crowd was, if we had beat the Dolphins, the crowd would have been 19,000. But we didn't beat the Dolphins, and the crowd came in at 9,000, whatever it was, which is pretty poor. I've said this for years that we've got to start winning games to bring our crowds back. People aren't going to watch a losing team.
Aren't they?
No.
Well, the Tigers busted, broken, back-to-back wooden spoons, beaten easily in the first game by team tipped for the spoon, flogged in their last trial game by us, and we're also tipped for the spoon. Yet they can sell out their home ground. They sold it out. It was packed to the rafters. The Bulldogs have been a basket case for years. They've lost their first 2 games, showed nothing that should have excited their fans. They played against an out-of-town team and sold out Belmore. We can't use performance or an out-of-town team as an excuse. Our fans just aren't as passionate about our club as other teams.
Not anymore. We used to be a passionate supporter base, but I don't think we're as passionate anymore. No. I'm as passionate as the next guy next to me, but we've got no fans coming through. That's our problem.
Well, Darren, that's exactly what I said about that's exactly what I said about the Bulldogs. They played against the Gold Coast Titans and still sold out their home ground. So that's a rubbish excuse. We always find excuses. We do not need, we need zero fans from the opposition. Zero. We should sell it out every single time we play there with not a single opposition fan. We don't need them. We should sell it out just ourselves.
Well, we go to Wollongong next week. How's that going to turn out? Easter Saturday in Wollongong.
I will smash Manly.
As in crowd. How will we get the crowd? 5:30 again Saturday in Wollongong.
Wollongong would tend to get a bigger crowd.
Wollongong's got a bigger ground. Wollongong's bigger.
Yeah, we tend to get a bigger crowd at Wollongong. That's the best on the hill. So, yeah.
And he raises a good point. The parking at Cogra is dreadful. Parking at Cogra is dreadful. You can't park anywhere near the place, don't you? It is ridiculous. You get there late, say if you're coming from Wollongong or further away, you're parking at the next suburb.
No, you park on the other side of the station at Carlton and then walk down.
That's a fair way.
Oh, come on.
For some people,
What are you, 90 years old?
For some people, mate,
Park,
you got to look at the demo. You got to cater for everybody.
Well, I mean, push them down in a chair or
people
something.
jump on the train as well, and it's a nice walk from the station. 10 minutes.
It's a lovely walk from the station.
Carlton Station.
I used to love walking down there as a 15-year-old. Walking back.
That's the best way
there.
to get to Cogra. In all honesty, if I was going to a game,
Steal a car from
I'll
Quarryfield.
jump on the train, leave your car at home, and just jump on the train. Nice 10-minute walk down Jubilee Avenue. You drive, and you got to be there really early, otherwise you won't get a spot near the.
Yeah, but I reckon we'll get 11,000 at Wollongong on Easter Saturday.
Well,
that's what I'm saying. We'll get 11,000 there.
I don't know that that's quite good enough either, but I think that may be somewhere near the money.
That's about
all right. Let's move in.
50%. Wollongong holds 23, so that's about half your capacity.
Yeah,
we'll see.
He's saying he buys platinum membership just for parking at Cogra. Not many can afford that. I know when I went, we went to the Leagues Club very early. We got there for a feed and a couple of beers before the reserve grade game, and then wandered over and caught the reserve grade game. We certainly didn't have any problems with parking, and it was a pretty full house that day. But we got there nice and early. I guess if you're getting there a bit later, it might be a bit tougher.
I'll park at the church. $10. There you go. Beautiful.
Wollongong's a bit easier to park. You got a few different car parks in Wollongong.
All right, we'll move into a couple of viewer questions. We've got a couple that have come through ahead of time. And Big T, I'll go to you for the first one. Johnny Burke says Dean Young is the defensive coach, and we are currently ranked 16th in defence, conceding 84 points in the last two games. After round 12 last year, the Cowboys had the worst defence in the competition with Young as their defensive coach. Is Dean Young part of our problem, or is it the players taking time to adopt a new defensive structure, or is it a case of uncommitted, untalented players not being good enough to stop other teams from scoring bulk points?
I think you just answered the question. It's a bit of all three, I think. I think Dean Young's brought new structures in. He's changed it all around. The players are going to learn those structures. Are the players smart enough to learn those structures? I think there's a few there that aren't smart enough to learn the new structures. Like you were saying, you've got a couple of players that don't look like they want to be there. There's one player in particular played for 50, 60 minutes or something, and he only had 4 runs for 49. So it's not good enough.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely think there's some work to do in defence. In Young's defence, I guess the Cowboys were one of the best defensive teams the year before, and they did improve their defence from
after
round 12.
Yeah.
And they ended up with a pretty decent defensive record. They certainly weren't down near the bottom. Maybe it's a case of that the team will get better and improve in this area over time. We're We're 3 games in.
That's exactly right.
Completely new structure, completely new coaches. Everything has changed with the coaching team, more or less. Like it is completely different to what it was last year. It's going to take time.
Ryan Carr's the only one that was on the coaching staff last year that's still there this year.
But we played 3 vastly different games. Against the Titans, our defence it looked good. But was that just because we were playing the Titans?
Yeah, you look at that.
Against the Dolphin, our head went down after 5 minutes. They scored that try from the bomb, and our heads went down and we had nothing else to do in the game. This week, our heads stayed up after they scored the early try, and then we had those 3 quick tries, three tries in 13 minutes, I think it was, and but then didn't get the ball for 55 minutes, like you said, and if you haven't got the ball, you can't score tries. But you have to defend, but we didn't.
What happened to the defence we had in round 1?
No, that's what I was just saying.
What's working from them?
That's what I was just saying.
How many points have the Titans scored so far this season, Jesse? You don't need to have good defence to stop them.
No.
Yeah. Who was that against? Who did they pull that for against? We're the worst team defensively against the Titans this year, mate.
Don't say that too loudly. There's Bulldog supporters listening.
Yeah.
Yeah, Benny O'Brien, we should get him back on the show. He's always got great insights in this area, and again, he talks about the defensive structure. So we're standing back. We're not moving up in defence. We've abandoned that sort of up and in defence that got us exposed again and again and again, and everyone hated it. But the opposite, we're doing the sliding defence now, and that has its issues as well. When you stand back and wait, it does allow easy meters, and it gives the opposition more time to find those weak links in the defensive line. So, what do you want? Do you want that up and in where you've got your wingers and centres jamming in all the time and letting free run to the line, or do you want the slide, which allows exactly what Benny's talking about? So there's no perfect system defensively, and we've changed what we're doing.
I like
so
the up and in.
Creates different issues.
Up and in your face. That's how you shut down teams quicker. The sliding defence.
Well, you didn't seem to like it too much last year. You're into Matty Fino, you're into Mika Ravaloa every time he races up out of the line.
Yeah, I like.
But now you want to go back to
their face. Get up and stand in their face and don't let them run. That's what you got to do. You got to meet them when they run. Instead of we're waiting for them to run to us, and it's by the time we do that, it's a bit too late because they've already made the ground. We've just got to shut them down and get up in their face and don't let them do anything. I mean, you look, it works for the best teams. We got to look at doing the same model.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't executed that very well in the past, and I think it all comes. I think while they all have their issues, they all have their pluses as well. And when they're executed correctly, then I think that they can all be successful. But it's just a matter of trusting the coaching staff and giving them an opportunity to get it right. But I'll stay with you, Jess. Bob Campbell raises a point that we've sort of talked about a little bit when we're talking about defence. The Cowboys making a whopping 52.46 metres per set, which is more than any team from any game this season. Why were the Cowboys able to march up the field so easily?
Because as I said, we're not resilient enough in defence. We're waiting for too long to rush up on them and make the tackles. By the time we make the tackle, the Cowboys have already made that ground, and we're not doing enough to shut them down. We're waiting for the Cowboys' attack to run to get to our defensive line, and we just need to be more resilient and get up in their face and stop them running. Even tackle them around the legs. Don't tackle them up high so you don't fall off that player, because you tackle them around the legs, they won't run as far. And you just got to look at that too and be up in their face and don't let them run. Soon as you see a bloke run, onto them straight away. Every single time. Don't wait for them to run in. You run to them.
Lots to talk about line speed, and I totally agree. I think our line speed in the opening 20 minutes, when Blake Laurie's out on the field, is actually pretty good. Blake Laurie goes off for a rest, and nobody else seems to want to lead the line feed. No, everyone else sort of stands back and waits. And when you stand back and wait for guys like Jason Taumalolo or Finifawaki and Griffin Neem, if you stand back and wait for these guys to wind up for 10, 15 metres if they're coming off the back fence, they're going to carry you another 15, 20 metres. Like it is, you can't stand back and wait for these guys. You've got to get up off your line, get in their face and stop them before they get ahead of steam up. They played a power game and they killed us with that power game. Big T, Shazza John says there's a need for a new captain, one the players will listen to. Yep. If you were the coach, who would be the Dragons captain right now?
Blake Laurie. I think the players rally around behind Blake Laurie. He, like you were saying before, he does all the hard work when he's on the field. He leads by example. He was my man of the match this week, and it's only his second week back. So, I think Blake Laurie's our man. I think people will listen to him.
Yeah, I do think. Again, Ben Hunt said something, and people take it a little out of context in the post game interview. He said something like he got asked the question, "What are you saying to the guys behind the goalpost?" And he said something that's like, "Oh, it doesn't really matter what I say, because clearly they're not listening to me." And and again, like that's the words that came out, and that's the quote without context that gets put out there, that the players don't listen to Ben Hunt. Ben Hunt confirms none of the players listen to him when he speaks, and it's really he's just saying, well, it doesn't matter what I said behind the goalpost. Like that's irrelevant what I was saying to the players behind the goalpost, because you saw what happened after we kicked off. Whatever was said, whatever anybody said, it didn't get executed. No one actually did it. No one executed what we went out there to try and do. You see that. Like that's what he was trying to say.
Is that laziness?
I don't think it's a case of no one listening to him.
Is that just laziness? Right? Laziness on our forwards' part. Our backs were the ones bringing us out of trouble again. So
the forwards aren't. They're too scared to get their hands dirty. They're too scared to get tackled. I don't know.
We need something. I think Shane Flanagan saying this week we do need a big bopper up front. We do need someone to come in.
We lack someone. We lack size big time. We need a clean out is definitely needed to be looked at. That's for sure.
It is.
Well, I guess the good thing there, Jeff, is we've got the opportunity to do a clean out. Like 60% of our 60% of our players are off contract. Like we could have 2/3 of our team, of our 30-man squad, 20 players or something off contract. We could have a completely different team next year. We have the ability to do a clean out, but who do we bring in? Like who's available that we can bring in that's actually going to make us better? Do we do a clean out for a clean out's sake, or do we look to actually improve the side?
I think Flano needs to start from scratch and build the team he wants. He believes that he wants that will be good for his what style of football he wants to play. Whether it will get us results and get us up the table. We still lack some big size up front. There's no forwards that can really bend the line in defence when we have the ball, and we've seen that with players failing to make 100 meters or more in the last two games. Our forwards, we need to. No offense to Blake Laurie, I just don't see him as that player that can bend the line and bust a hole. He's more of.
Mate, I don't think Blake Laurie sees himself as that player.
Yeah, but that's what we lack. We need a player that can put holes in the line and make an impact in the opposition defensive line and really like you mentioned, like a Griffin Neem or a Moses Leota. He's a bullocking front row. We need front rowers in that position, in that mould, to make us go forward and make holes in the defensive line to get us on the front foot, to let Ben Hunt, Tyrell Sloan and Kyle Flanagan work their magic.
I wish I could put some of Rob's comments that he's putting in the group chat on the screen, but he's not putting them in the actual page, so we can't have them. But Benny O'Brien, a bit of positivity, Benny. What's going on? "You feeling all right?" He said, "We could be worse. We could be Souths. Full of superstars and on the bottom of the table." I was saying earlier today, like before a ball was kicked, South Sydney were the fourth favourites for the competition. They were a top 4 team according to the bookies, and they are running last and looking like looking like absolute bastards. But he's right. We could certainly always be in a worse position. Jesse Bob Campbell, he points out that Jack Bird had more missed tackles than any other player in our team with 5. Does he retain his spot in the centres? Does he deserve a spot in the 17?
No, and potentially on the bench, but no, I still don't see why Flano picks him at centre. He's got nothing. I like Jack Bird, but he's just past his use-by date. He's really past his use-by date. He's too slow to be in the centres. He runs up out of the line too quick. You mentioned he had nearly a couple of try-sits there, but the game's just got too quick for him. He needs a shot, and he just can't compete out wide at the moment. And I think he's best suited at being a 14 where he can cover a few positions when we need him and when we get some tied forwards even. But I think, I think his time in the centres is done, but I think Flano will persevere with him. I can't see Flano dropping him.
Yeah, that's pretty sad, but probably true. I think we've all heard the comments of Shane Flanagan, what he thinks of Jack Bird. He seems to still think Jack Bird's the same player he was in 2015. He does some good things, but I think he did get found out a little bit against Valentine Holmes in yesterday's game.
He also made Valentine Holmes look a bit ordinary at times too in their game. So
not necessarily just Jack Bird, but certainly Val Holmes got made to look very, very poor in some of his defensive decisions, and it did allow Jack a bit of space. And he's running meters, busting tackles. He's still going okay, but I think there's big question marks on him defensively. And I think he might be marking up against Kohler if he's still
quick.
there. He's very, very quick, and that would scare the crap out of him. What side's Jack Bird on?
Jack Bird's on the right side.
On the right,
that's Kohler. Kohler was on the left today.
Oh, is he?
So Garrick Scott Sully.
Either way, it's going to be difficult to contain. I'm sure we'll go through that a bit more on Tuesday. But we did have another question that came through that I'll start as we've been going along. Again from Benny O'Brien, Big T. Is Lomax just a shining diamond in a pile of rocks, and it's easy to look good when the rest of the team are below average, or do you think he's actually going really well?
I think our back 5 are going particularly well. Rava's still learning his trade on the opposite side of the field. If Sully gets early ball, he's running hard. Jack Bird's doing good things. Sloan's a rough diamond. If he can bring what he brought against the Titans, like I said, the Titans was an easier game. But you see it every week. Sloan does it. He's up there in our 3-2-1s. So it's not just Lomax as a shining diamond. I think we've got a few diamonds. They just need to be polished.
Yeah.
Did you like that?
Yeah,
that was good. That was good.
I think Lomax has been fantastic, but I think Lomax has been fantastic, and I think everyone's recognising that. It's not just Dragons fans saying he's been the best Dragons player. He's making team of the week. He's getting recognised by the New South Wales State of Origin coach. He's not just looking good in a shit team. Like his work rate has been better than any other winger in the competition. He is getting 100%. The ball and taking 2, 3, 4 hit ups every set of 6. He's been really good. But Darren Drury, again, a common complaint from usually comes from ex-St George Dragons fans. So I'll go to you, Jesse, because you like to field these ones. I reckon the Dragons can't possibly attract any players because all the kids want to live in Sydney. They don't want to have to travel down to Wollongong for training a number of times a week. They prefer to sign with Sydney-based teams. Do you think there's any credence to this, or do you think that do you think Penrith attracts players from Bathurst because they really want to live in Penrith?
Well, Flano saw that too. Like the first thing when he got appointed was he said we got to train at Cogra, because that's part of Sydney. We got to keep in touch with our Sydney fans as well as our Wollongong fans. So we're St George Illawarra. We're not St George or Illawarra. We're St George Illawarra Dragons. So we train at both bases every week, and we've got to keep in touch with both to show that we're one united club, and that will
continue when the Centre of Excellence is finished?
I think so. Flano's made that clear that he wants.
So why would you build this Why would you build this multi-million-dollar facility? Spend millions and millions of dollars on it and train there part time.
It's not only for the NRL side; it may be for all grades coming down through the ranks. And I think that he wants to keep connected with the St George region and still train there, because as he said last year when he got the job, it hasn't been used. That facility at Cogra hasn't been used since 2013. So it's a waste of a facility there, and it's good if the club still continues to use it. But probably once or twice a week, as they're doing now, they can stay at Cogra, but majority of the time they will be down at the new facility in Wollongong, which is due, I think, sometime next year.
Yeah. You're getting a few comments about how good it is to live in Penrith. I know we've got I'm an ex-Westie myself, so live in Perth now. Well, I'm a real Westie now. I've got a long way west.
Wollongong is a lovely part of the world for people that don't know Wollongong. It's a lovely part of the world. Right.
Yeah. But I mean, like how many good players come from country areas? Like, they don't want to live in Sydney. Like, Wollongong actually gives us the best of both worlds. We can get these players from country areas that are fantastic, tough, hardened players, and offer them the opportunity to live in a sort of more rural type area that is closer to what it is to home. Yeah. And that's exactly what Penrith. That's exactly what Penrith do. That's exactly what Penrith offer. When people talk about Penrith juniors, but a lot of the players that play for Penrith aren't Penrith juniors. They're from Bathurst. They're from Dubbo. They're from the Central West. They're not from the foot of the mountain. They're not playing in Penrith juniors. They're in Group 10, Group 11, and they bring them down.
Their region.
Penrith is close enough to areas that have a bit of space and feel a bit more like home. You don't have to live right in Penrith, in the city, because not every player likes it. Like, I think it's a red herring and a bit of a myth that having Wollongong and St George is actually a detriment to the Dragons. I think it's a blessing having both, because we can offer both. We can offer Sydney to those that want to live in the city. We can offer the Gong to people that want to live with a more rural country sort of atmosphere. So, yeah, I think it's actually a good thing that we've got both those areas.
Wollongong's a lovely town, and it's people compliment how you get to train right on the beach. What other club gets to do that?
Cronulla.
Well, a few.
We're probably the only club in the game that trains right on the beach.
Newcastle.
Manly. Right on the beach.
The Roosters. Have you heard of Bondi Beach? Penrith apparently has a beach.
Right,
Benny O'Brien says Penrith has a beach now. I don't know where that is.
It does. Penrith used to have...
The Wind Stadium is right on the beach.
Penrith
Allianz Stadium is not right on the beach.
Mount Druitt Waterworks. I used to go to Mount Druitt Waterworks. What a great place that was.
I used to live in Mount Druitt and used to spend a lot of time at the waterworks, mate. And then they turned it into a garden centre.
That's right.
But, I was more Australian.
Training, they jump the fence, they're straight in the ocean.
That's it.
Well, if that's what you like. I personally, sand can get stuffed. But
I love sand.
Rob's just said we need to go to Penrith, kidnap him, and bring him to Wollongong.
All right. We'll move now from some viewer questions and where'd that bit go? We'll go into to talk about the lower grades. You're on the Mad Dragons podcast, brought to you by Complete Warehouse Solutions. Reserve grade had the bye this week, and we'll be back next weekend at Wollongong against the Blacktown Workers Sea Eagles, and that game will be on Foxtel. So, looking forward to that. Our under 21s. They were live streamed against the Fijian team, the Kaviti Silktails. And, here's a couple of highlights courtesy of Stephen Bates on Instagram.
They try to keep me down, but I just get higher.
All right, so a couple of good tries there from the Jersey Fleet side. What you saw in those two tries was my man of the match, Ben Rumble, slicing through and setting up Nick Quinn for the try. Benny Rumble scored 4 tries himself, as well as that try assist. Was involved in everything in the 50-12 win over the Silktails. Was simply outstanding. I think it was his first game of the year. I haven't seen him on any other team list before this one, so he must have been out injured during pre-season. The other try was scored by the bloke I'd give 2 votes to in Ashton Ward. He was the one that scored the try, but it was all set up by a great dummy half run. We're just talking about how much we need to see some dummy half runs, and that was a great one straight up the middle from Kyan Jolterson to set up the Ward try. Ward at halfback really controlled the team around the park well. Scored 2 tries, set up a couple, kicked a 40-20, and was my 2. And not featured in this clip was Jet Liu, who I thought was immense up front, a big prop. He was great early, set up the win, and he'd get my 1 vote from that Jersey Fleet win. In the other grades, SG Ball under 19s, the Illawarra Steelers had a shocker against the Bulldogs. They were down 28-0 at half time. The game was all but over. We did score 2 tries in 5 minutes after half time that gave me a glimmer of a miracle. But yeah, ultimately it was the Bulldogs that ran away with it. We fell away and went down 46-16, which sends us down into 6th position. The final round of the regular season is next weekend, but we're up against the North Sydney Bears. So they should beat them. The Bears are in second last and haven't been going all that well. So the Steelers should be able to beat the Bears and secure a spot in finals. But they've now been flogged by the Bulldogs. They went down to the Dragons last week, so 2 losses in a row. The only team above them that they have beaten is the Eels, who are also going to be in finals. So, yes, it's a bit of a job to do to turn it around after a big loss like that as they gear up for a finals campaign. Our other FG ball team, the St George Dragons, had a huge win over the Canberra Raiders, 54-16. Jesse Williams scored another double, while Fino Latu, Corey Ackers, and Loco Tonga were among the other try scorers, while Shadi Hamoud knocked over 9 from 9 with the boot. So a good day from him, 54-16 to the Dragons. And in the under-19s women's competition, the Illawarra Steelers remain undefeated after smashing the Penrith Panthers 62-0. Ariane Yo, Evie McGrath, Yenna Leslie, and Darcy Eade all got doubles in the 13-try demolition. All right, we'll move from that into some news and rumours, and not a lot of news and rumours, but Jesse, I'll go to the only real bit of news from the last week, and it was mentioned in Hasman's Heroes and Villains. Ben Hunt allegedly confirming that Zach Lomax wanted to leave. And what were your thoughts of that little doorstop slip-up?
As you mentioned previously in the show, I don't like it. Ben Hunt shouldn't be commenting on people's personal situations and contracts. He should have refused to comment and say you should speak to Lomax and his management about that. Ben Hunt should be making an example and shouldn't be commenting on other players and what their situation is right at the moment. And that's for him to answer, not for Ben Hunt. And I personally didn't like that, and I think that if they want to find out where Lomax is at the moment, they should go and ask him and hear it straight from the horse's mouth instead of trying to get the answer out of the captain. And it's not a good look for Ben Hunt to be doing that. And yeah, I think that they should have really that's not a question he should have answered. He should have said no comment, or I'm not going to answer any questions regarding Zach Lomax. And he should have let them say, go speak to him if you want any clarification on that. I wasn't happy with it at all.
Yeah, no, and well said, Jesse. I think there'll be a lot of people that will 100% agree with you. In a little bit in Hunt's defence. I mean, journalists are a tricky bunch. They asked him the same question 5 or 6 times, and I reckon the first 5 times he said, if Zach Lomax is looking to leave and is unhappy, he's certainly not showing it with the way that he performs. And then at the last time, he sort of said, yes, of course I've heard about Zach wanting out of the club. I'm talking about, I have heard the rumours that he wants out of the club, but what he said was, I have heard that he wants out of the club. I am aware of that. So again, I think it's, I don't know whether you read too much into it, whether Benny just has a habit of slipping on his own tongue, or whether he's intentionally trying to let this information out, and there's actually some truth or fact to it. But I've got to say I agree with you. I agree with Hasman in his heroes and villains, even though I said it. It was Hasman's villain, not mine, and I totally agree that Benny is talking out of school. He's talking about things that are going on behind closed doors, private conversations, talking about what guys are thinking and feeling. He shouldn't be doing that. That's not the job of a captain. All right, we move very quickly from news and rumours into changes for next week. Start looking towards next week already. We write this one off before we get into the Tuesday show, when we will have the team list confirmed. I'll go to you first of all, or Jess. Let's play a game. We've got a few players that are due possibly to come back into the side. We've got the 17 players that were named on the weekend. We're going to play one player in, one player out. I don't want to change the starting lineup, just which player comes out of the 17 altogether in order to get this player in. And we'll start with Frankie Molo back from suspension. You tell me which player comes out of the 17 for Frankie.
Ben Murdoch-Masila.
So Ben Murdoch-Masila's out for you. Big T?
I would have said that, I think. Yeah, I would have said Ben Murdoch-Masila.
For me, I'm getting rid of Viliami Fafita. 0 runs. He only got 11 minutes on the park. He's had no game time this season at all. He, at the very least, needs a spell back in reserve grade so he can get some playing time under his belt. I was really disappointed with Viliami Fafita. To come on off the bench, you're a massive human. You've got that. You're that player. You're that player we're talking about. That guy that's massive and can just run over the top of people and inflict some pain when you've got the ball in your hand. You are that giant that we want. He comes on, he as an impact player and has 0 runs, does not touch the ball. Every time we got the ball, I was looking around for Viliami Fafita and he was nowhere. Made 9 tackles without a miss, but who cares? Have a run, you big pussy.
Big puff.
Dead set. All right, Big T, let's continue. Jacob Littleback, who drops out of the 17 for Lids?
Connor Mulhausen. I'm
Connor's gone?
Connor back to reserve grade, Muskie to 14.
Jeff, anything different?
Yeah, I'm leaning towards the same way. I like Connor, but he's just got to work on a little bit of his game and start running a little bit more. And I'd love to see Jesse Musk get another opportunity. Connor Mullison.
Yeah. Is Fafita the new Josh Kerr? Quite possibly, again, another big bloke that doesn't quite know how big he is. And maybe we'll do the same thing. Just as he's starting to come good, we'll let him go to another club. Yeah, I agree with both of you. Mullaisen out for me. Our attack dies badly every time he comes out on the field. Jesse Markey showed that he can hold his own defensively. That was probably my biggest concern with Markey. He's not great. Like Jesse Markey is not a great option. He's 26 and hasn't played NRL for a reason. But I think he offers a little bit more than Connor, in my opinion.
100%.
All right. Jesse, let's assume Harme Sele is back. Obviously, there still seems to be some doubt. Never sure if he's ever going to be back. He might be out for the season with a hamstring. But let's say Sele is back. Who's out?
Michael Molo.
No.
Big T?
Viliami's gone. Like I said before, he's going to say Harme Sele comes in, Viliami goes out.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Jets on this one. I've got Michael Molo, real toss of the coin for me. I'm keeping Ben Murdoch-Masila. I think he's actually having more of an impact through the middle. I do worry about his movement defensively. Michael Molo is certainly a much more mobile guy. But if you're getting Harme Sele, you're getting that mobility anyway. I think I want to keep a bit of size on my bench, and I'm going to keep Ben Murdoch-Masila in the team, and Mickey Molo is going to drop out. All right, Big T. Last but not least, Jaden Sewer is back. Who misses the 17 for Sewer?
Oh, geez, that's a hard one now because we're looking at Tom Eisenhuth. We're looking at we're looking at a few different other players now because we've said Viliami's gone and Connor's gone. Ben Murdoch-Masila, I said he's gone. There's not many left to change. He'd be in the 18. Maybe not the 9. Maybe not the 17 yet.
So who's out? Sorry.
I can't decide on who's out because he may be in the 18, but he might not be in our 17. So.
Oh, come on, Splitters.
I know. Who am I going to say?
Sitting. No fence sitting.
How can you take Tom Eisenhuth out? How can you take Frankie Molo out? How can you take Blake Laurie out? Luciano. No, Jack Bird, he's gone. Jack Bird's gone.
Jack Bird's out and Eisenhuth in the centres. Why not? Jeff, what's your verdict? We've got a couple of Stephen Bates saying doubt Sewer will be back. I doubt it as well.
Raven Fatala Mariner is my bloke to make weight.
Yep.
He had a good game against the Titans, and he's done nothing since. And I think he's just got to bring players back, and I just can't find a spot for him.
I'm exactly the same, mate. Ray Fatala Mariner for me. He's been average the last 2 games. After an impressive round 1, I had him as man of the match in round 1, but I think he's been among our worst couple of players the last 2 games. He's out of the starting lineup and out of the 17 altogether, in my opinion. So he drops out. Right, Jeff, aside from the players coming back in due to unavailability for the Cowboys, are there any other unforced changes that you think Flano will make? Will he actually drop anyone?
Again, he said he'll look at it. He said that last week after the Dolphins game, but he only made the necessary change. He didn't make the wholesale changes we thought should be made. I personally, I would love to see a shake-up in the forwards. Make them earn their spot. I think for too long, Dragons players have felt their spot is too safe because there's no players putting pressure on them. I think it's time to say you've had your chance. We gave you a chance against the Cows. You didn't deliver. I think you need to have a spell and give blokes there that want to have a shot and show that they've got what it takes in the NRL. And I think that's what they'll do. I think that's what I'll do. But I don't see Flano doing it. I can't see Flano making an awful lot of changes. He still thinks there's improvement in this group. They're going to need to be have a massive improvement if they're going to take down the Sea Eagles next weekend.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we fixed everything about the Dragons here tonight. So I'm sure they're going to turn things around and be back in the winner's circle before you know it. If they just listen to everything we said, I don't know that we agreed on anything, but if they listen to us, everything will be all right because we know everything. Once again, I would like to thank everyone who's tuned in for tonight's show. A massive thank you to our new sponsor, Complete Warehouse Solutions. We appreciate your support. If you do get the chance to support them, then support those that support us. Well, next week's another week. That's the beauty about the NRL and Rugby League. We get another chance to do it all again next week. Join us Tuesday night from 8:30 p.m. as we look through the team list for Manly. Hopefully there are a few changes, a few familiar faces, and maybe a few new names. So come on, Dragons fans. Fire up!
She wears it on her sleeve as Mustard tells tales of dragons wins and tuna victory. Tony and the MV crew will do their very best, hitting off topic and I digress with a red bee on our chest. The Mad Dragon podcast is a sheep of camaraderie, navigating ways down rabbit holes in the land of big wet feet. And so our paddlers weave the tales and our cruise ship is our dream. The Mad Dragon podcast.